Omaha men tell the FBI a West Omaha businessman molested them when they were children. But the FBI says too much time has passed to look into the allegations. They would need to talk to more recent victims. Therapists urge other victims to step forward. As the I-Team's Julie Cornell explains, that's easier said than done.
After years of therapy, Dennis Dugan says he can talk about it.
I knew what he did was wrong, but I said, who's going to believe a 12-year-old?
He was 12 when he says a close family friend, an older man, touched him inappropriately outside a hot tub at the man's West Omaha home 2 different times.
You know, it's very disturbing.
Dennis says that molestation created trust and relationship trouble his whole life.
Dennis is one of the most amazing people I've worked with.
Sally Kaplan is Dennis's therapist, helping sexual abuse survivors for more than 30 years.
Dennis came to me 3 years ago as probably one of the most depressed people I've ever worked with. I was so worried about him.
Kaplan says Dennis felt empowered when he went to the FBI with information about the alleged abuser.
I think he's fooled people for so long. I think some people are afraid to believe the truth.
The FBI told him his case was too old. When he started sharing his story, he says other men told him they suffered similar abuse by the same guy.
He's a master manipulator.
Dennis and Kaplan are working with Michael Gillum, trying to rally the other victims to step forward.
In this case, we've made huge strides in terms of identifying potential or likely victims.
Michael Gillum is the Pennsylvania child psychologist who exposed child molester Jerry Sandusky in 2008. Some Omaha families hired Gillum as a victim advocate to assist the FBI here in Omaha.
A lot of the victims I work with haven't told their wife, if they have a wife, they haven't told their parents, they haven't told their brothers and sisters.
Therapists say victims don't tell because they're afraid. As children, they fear they'll be blamed. As adults, they worry that they'll be judged.
Probably the main thing is fear and shame, not wanting to get in trouble.
Both Kaplan and Gillum say when victims don't process that childhood trauma, it can damage their lives.
A lot of folks don't realize that their anxiety, depression, drug or alcohol issues, relationship issues are tied to what happened to them.
Dennis and others gave Gillum a list of 45 boys who had close contact with the man in the 1980s and 90s. Many of the boys attended Creighton Prep. Dennis says there will be healing when there's justice.
I want him to say it's over. What he did was wrong, and he's got to be accountable for what he did.
Gillum says the victims' identities will be protected by the FBI. He urges these men to come forward to get the therapy help they need to process what happened to them. Julie Cornell, KETV, Newswatch 7.
Mike Gillum is acting as the victim advocate in this case, and he's looking for more recent cases. To contact Gillum or the FBI, go to KETV.com. And if you missed Julie's special report on this case last night at 10, we have also posted that on our website.